Veth funerals last 3 days. I didn't know that when I showed up. I didn't know any of it. Not the silence protocols, not the color of mourning, not what the smoke meant, or why everyone stood facing the same direction. I just knew that Thessan was gone, and I wasn't going to let her go alone. She was my navigation officer for 4 years. Veth, which means 4 arms, pale gray skin, eyes that could track 6 targets simultaneously, and a voice like low static that I learned to read like music. She was the best navigator I'd ever served with, and one of the only people on the ship who ever beat me at cards. We didn't talk about our lives much. That's not how it works on long hauls, but we talked about everything else. The stars. The routes nobody takes anymore. Whether silence is the same in every language. She had a theory that it wasn't. She said humans fill silence differently than anyone else, that we treat it like a problem to be solved instead of a place to rest. I told her she wasn't wrong. She laughed. Veth laughter sounds like interference on a calm line. I loved it. When she died, a pressure failure, sudden, no warning, I was the one who had to log it. I typed her name and rank and the time. Then I sat there for a long time, not typing anything else. The silence felt different that day. She would have had something to say about that. Her family sent a transmission 3 days after. I almost didn't open it. I wasn't sure I was supposed to, wasn't sure it was meant for me. But my name was in the header, spelled out in the Veth script I'd learned enough of to recognize. They were holding the funeral on their homeworld. They wanted me to come. I asked my captain for leave. He looked at me for a long time. He said, "You know their funeral customs are 3 days of complete silence." I said, "I know." He said, "You know you'll be the only human there." I said, "I know." He said, "You know the Veth don't typically invite outsiders to mourning rites." I said, "I know." He said, "She must have asked them too." I hadn't thought of that. I thought about it the whole way there. The Veth homeworld was gray and beautiful in the way that things are beautiful when they don't care whether you find them beautiful or not. The family met me at the landing platform. 7 of them, all the pale gray of deep water, all watching me with those multi-tracking eyes. Nobody spoke. I'd been warned about the silence. I didn't speak either. One of them, an elder, I thought, based on the silver at her crest, looked at me for a long moment, then made a gesture I didn't recognize. I didn't know what to do. So I did the only thing that felt right. I bowed. Not a human bow, not a formal thing. Just a slow, genuine lowering of my head. The way you bow to something you respect. The elder was still for a long moment. Then she made the gesture again, and this time I understood it wasn't a question. It was an answer. I didn't know that Veth funerals involve keeping watch through the night. I found out when everyone else sat down at dusk and didn't move. I sat with them. I didn't know that the smoke from the memorial fires is supposed to be witnessed, not escaped. I stayed in it until my eyes watered. I didn't know that Veth mourners don't eat during the first day. I figured that out when the food I'd been quietly hoping for never appeared. I didn't know that the correct thing to do, when you don't know the customs, is apparently exactly what I was doing. Following, staying, being present, not performing grief but also not hiding it. At some point during the second night, one of Thessan's sisters sat down next to me. She was quiet for a long time. Then she did something I didn't expect. She reached over and touched the patch on my chest. The crooked one. She looked at it for a moment. Then she looked at me. I said, in a voice I kept as steady as I could, "Thessan sewed it." She made the low static sound. The one I'd learned to read like music. She was laughing. Grieving. Both at once. I understood that. I understood that completely. On the third day, the silence ended. The elder spoke first, A long, formal recitation I couldn't follow, but I didn't need to. I knew what it was. Then the others spoke, one by one, and I understood enough Veth by then to catch fragments. Navigator. Stars. The long routes. Cards. Silence. And then the elder looked at me. Every eye in the courtyard turned. I hadn't prepared anything. I hadn't known I'd be asked. I stood up. I thought about Thessan for a moment, the way she laughed, the way she tracked 6 things at once and pretended she wasn't, the theory about silence. Then I said the only thing that felt true. I said she was the best navigator I ever flew with. I said she beat me at cards every time and never let me forget it. I said I didn't know your customs. I still don't, not really. But I know that she mattered. And I know that the silence since she left has been the wrong kind. The elder made a sound I hadn't heard before. Later, one of Thessan's brothers told me what it meant. It was the Veth word for yes. Exactly that. Before I left, the elder found me at the landing platform. She spoke to me directly, in Veth, slowly, the way you speak to someone who is trying. I caught most of it. She said, Thessan told us about you. She said, Thessan said humans grieve loudly, and it is not weakness. It is the sound of love with nowhere to go. She said, we did not know if you would come. I said, I almost didn't. She looked at me. She said, but you did. I didn't have an answer for that. She reached up, all 4 arms, which is a Veth gesture I later learned is reserved for family, and she touched my face. Just briefly. Then she turned and walked back into the gray, beautiful world that Thessan had come from. And I stood there at the landing platform for a long time before I got on my ship. The silence on the way home was different again. Thessan had a theory about that. I think she was right. If this one stayed with you, subscribe. We post a new story every single day, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. And I want to hear from you. Drop your story idea in the comments. A job, a situation, a what if, just a sentence or 2. We read every single one, and your idea might be the next video.